Once upon a time in Japan, not far from the palace of the great emperor, there lived a fair young girl named Tamayo. Her father was a poor farmer, and Tamayo had to work in the fields. She worked hard during the day, but when evening came, she would sit down on a big rock and sing songs until the moon was high overhead. Her voice was clear and sweet like a temple bell. One evening, an old man came and sat down beside her on the rock. "Good evening, little girl," he said. "Good evening, old sir," answered Tamayo, smiling brightly. "May I ask your name?" "It is Uemon, and what is yours?" "I am called Tamayo." "Your name is very pretty," said Uemon. "And you are a pretty girl, Tamayo, but you are wasting your life working in the fields. You should be a princess." "How can I be a princess, Uemon, when I am just a poor farmer's daughter?" "Leave it all to me," said the old man, and vanished. Tamayo rubbed her eyes. But Uemon was gone. The next day, 2 royal heralds came to the village. They visited the farmer and told him they were looking for a beautiful young girl to be the wife of the young prince. They described her looks, but Tamayo blushed as she heard them speak of the girl they sought, for she knew they meant her. Then the heralds asked the farmer if he had such a daughter, and he replied, "Indeed, I have." And Tamayo trembled when she heard her father say yes. The heralds bowed low and invited Tamayo to ride behind them on their horses to the palace. She mounted, and soon she and her father were swallowed up by the crowd of townsmen and courtiers. At the palace, many lords and ladies crowded around Tamayo, but none paid any attention to her father. He was ignored, forgotten. Tamayo felt sad and lonely, but the Queen Mother took pity on her and promised to be kind and help her. The Queen Mother helped Tamayo choose beautiful clothes, and soon the girl forgot her sadness and learned to love life at the palace. She spent her days in the gardens or sitting by the Queen Mother, drinking tea and talking for hours. One day, the young prince came to meet his future bride. Tamayo curtsied low, but raised her head when she heard him laugh. His face was handsome, but his eyes were cold and unkind. Still, he was a prince, and Tamayo was but a farmer's daughter. So she bowed low and said nothing. Then the prince and his followers left, and Tamayo returned to her room, her heart heavy with sadness. One evening, as Tamayo sat alone in her room, the door opened and Uemon entered, looking younger and happier than ever. "Oh, you came," cried Tamayo. "Of course I came," answered Uemon. "You are the most beautiful girl in the kingdom. How could I do otherwise?" "But I am to marry the prince," said Tamayo. "That is no great loss. The prince is a good man," said Uemon. "He will treat you well." But Tamayo shook her head. She knew her father had gained great honor and wealth because of her engagement to the prince, but she could not forget the coldness in his eyes. "Oh, Uemon, I am afraid I shall lose my voice," she said sadly. "If you lose your voice, how will you sing at night?" "I shan't be allowed to leave my rooms," cried Tamayo. "Then I shall open a window and you may sing to me," said Uemon. So in the evenings, while the prince slept peacefully in his room, Tamayo would come to the window and sing sweet songs to the old man below. Often he would climb up to her window and they would talk together in the lamplight. And as the nights passed, Tamayo forgot all about her troubles. One day, Tamayo was summoned to the emperor's court. The entire palace was assembled. Even the prince and his followers were there. Tamayo trembled as she curtsied low before them all, for she knew all eyes were on her, waiting for her to please them with a song. She wanted to refuse, but the court lady beside her whispered urgently, "Quick, child, sing. If you do not sing, you will disgrace yourself and your father." Tamayo was in despair. Just then, Uemon appeared in the crowd. Seeing Tamayo, he nodded his head reassuringly, and she knew she could trust herself to him. Closing her eyes, Tamayo raised her head and began to sing. Her voice rang through the court, and when she finished, a hush fell over everyone. Finally, the emperor broke the silence. "This voice is the most beautiful music I have ever heard," he said. Bring the singer near." As Tamayo stepped closer, the emperor noticed a small birthmark on her arm. He frowned and then, "Who dares touch this child? Show yourself." Uemin appeared before them. "Uemin, you are very brave, challenging me, but why did you not tell me you were already married?" "I am not married to the emperor," said Uemin, bowing low. "I am but a humble servant of the mountain. I heard the princess singing outside the palace walls, and I longed to hear her voice again, so I climbed up her window at night and listened to her music." "You are a shameless rogue," cried the emperor, and he ordered his guards to take Uemin outside and punish him severely. But Uemin bowed low and said, "Your Majesty, before you punish me, allow me to speak." "Very well," said the emperor. "You have one chance. What have you to say?" "When I heard the princess singing, I followed her to the palace and begged to become her teacher. The princess was kind and accepted me. I taught her how to read and write. We talked for hours together, and I helped her whenever she was troubled. Then the prince came, and the princess was sad. I did not want her to marry the prince, so I told her to meet me at night outside the palace wall. She agreed, and we met every night to sing and dance and be happy together. I admit it." Uemon threw back his head and laughed loudly. "The princess loves me. Is that a crime?" "Indeed it is," said the emperor. "The princess is to marry the prince, and you wish to take her away from him. Your punishment will be even worse now." "Very well," said Uemon. "If I must die, I have one request to make." "Speak," said the emperor. "Allow the princess to come to me for one last meeting." "So be it," replied the emperor. That night, Tamayo went to see Uemin outside the palace walls. He told her everything he had said to the emperor and asked her, "Is it true, Tamayo, do you love me?" "Oh, Uemon," she cried, falling into his arms. "You know I love you." They talked for hours together, and when the sky was filled with stars, Uemon said, "We must part now, but I will come back to see you tomorrow night." When Tamayo awoke the next morning, she realized Uemon would probably never come back. The emperor had promised her one last meeting, and if she did not hurry, Uemin would be punished and perhaps put to death. Without telling anyone, Tamayo stole out of the palace and hurried to the place where she and Uemon had met. Sure enough, Uemon was surrounded by the emperor's guards. Seeing Tamayo, he motioned for her to wait a moment. Turning to the emperor, Uemon said, "Your Majesty, I do not fear death, but I want the princess to know how much I love her. Allow me to give her this hairpin." "She will get it," said the emperor. Tamayo gasped, for the hairpin was one she had lost when she first came to the palace. Uemon must have searched for it and found it among the servants. "Here, princess, take it," he said, handing it to her. "Wear it always and remember me." Tamayo took the hairpin, and as she did so, one of the guards pushed her roughly aside. She stumbled and fell at Uemon's feet. "You scoundrel!" cried Uemon, springing toward the guard. But two guards seized him and dragged him away. "No!" cried Tamayo, rushing to the guards.